Hey, this is Todd. Welcome to the Lyceum Weekly Update number 12. This is for the week of March 3rd, 2014. The light on me is quite terrible because it is fucking miserable outside. Although if you're watching this on Monday and it's sunny, it's because I haven't recorded this on a Monday. I've pre-recorded this. Let's get straight into it, starting with launches. On Thursday, the 6th, there is an all-ages metal album launch that's happening at Sphere Night Spot in Sutherland, also known as Studio 6, and that's happening with Buried in Verona. Then on Friday the 7th, there's a brass band hip-hop funk single launch that's happening at the Jam Gallery in Bondi with Bullhorn. Then there's also a hip-hop single launch at the King's Cross Hotel in King's Cross. Sorry, I just had a stroke. The King's Cross Hotel in King's Cross, also known as the FBI Social, and that's with Broken Thought Theory. And a few more launches on Friday with free blues rock single launch at the Lyceum Hotel with A Girl's a Gun, and a blues rock album launch happening at the Valve Bar with Love Child. Then a rock EP launch at the Vanguard Newtown with Bones, with a Z. A few special gigs on this week, starting on Thursday, a hardcore rock and metal gig that's also a carnival with fairy floss, face painting, balloons. I think there's going to be a clown. Usually every week Hot Damn has some cool, interesting gig that they have going on, so I usually pick out the ones that stick out the most, so this kind of carnival really sticks out because it looks pretty cool. Then on Friday the 7th, there is a venue launch, new venue that's starting up with alternative and indie rock. It's the Imperial Hotel in Newtown, also just outside Newtown, more Erskineville. They have done music before, but now it's more dedicated. The national room called the Roller Den. They're going to have a massive night of heaps and heaps of bands. And the venue is also outside of the lockout zone, so you can party all night. And finally, on Saturday, there's going to be a metal gig at the Valve Bar in remembrance for Jay Ramirez. He played for Omina and Cryptic Scorn. They're going to be having a gig in his remembrance. I think it had been a year since he died. Just having a gig in remembrance of him. And on to news. Starting off, the police said that they're going to enforce the lockouts with Mardi Gras, since it's kind of the first big party that's come in since the lockouts have started in the same week. So since it's going to be the first thing, it seems like they're going to be out and making sure that people don't flaunt the rules and don't try and sneak in. And apparently if you try to get into a venue and the police have to intervene to get rid of you, then you're just going to be kicked out of the area. Which I thought sounded like, do they mean that you're going to go to jail? Are you going to get arrested? Or are they just going to be like, get out of here, you scamp, go fuck up somewhere else? Also found out that up until the 3 AM cessation of alcohol, you can buy up to 4 drinks per person, and that cease of alcohol trading only lasts for 2 hours. So at 5 AM, you can start buying drinks again. So if you really were going to be out all night, right before 3 AM, buy yourself 4 drinks and make it last 2 hours. I think the only hard part will be if you're dancing. If you're dancing in the club and you try to juggle 4, that's juggle. So if you're on the dance floor and you're trying to juggle 4 bottles, that could be kind of difficult. But, you know, just make it part of your dance. Make some new dances up that have to do with holding alcohol. The stationary hand rave. And final bit of news, the ARIA, the Australian Recording Industry Association, they have released some figures about the wholesale figures. Did I say figures twice? They've released some stats about the sale of physical media and CDs as well as digital media, showing that it has dropped significantly. And although digital sales have been taking over a fair bit, it hasn't caught up quite as much to the drop in physical sales. Although the stats don't seem to cover things like streaming or people who pay for subscription services, so I'd imagine that that would make up a bunch, because instead of purchasing digital albums or physical albums, you just pay the subscription and stream heaps of music. So I wonder if that makes up for the lack of sales. An ARIA chairman and the Sony Music Australasian's boss, Dennis Handlin, he was saying of how the industry needs to grow and evolve as the consumer evolves the way they take up music. But he also mentioned a lot more DRM-based things, which is essentially like they license it to you. You don't actually own the music that you purchase. They license it to you, so they feel free to revoke that license at any time. Or other DRM things that can kind of screw up a lot of people if it's done the wrong way. But with the knowledge that streaming services are up and more people take on them, it's also kind of bad because there have been images circulating the internet from bands like Trivium and ISIS and Darkest Hour, where they show their royalty checks that they get for the streaming, and they get a cent or maybe $1.30 for millions and millions of plays on the streaming services. So this is how I tend to look at it. You have artists who can record in their own bedroom. They can make professional sounding recordings if they really put the effort in. You have platforms like Bandcamp to release your stuff digitally and have people purchase it. So when you can control so much of that stuff and take all of the money, including anything that you might make from gigs or extra merchandise, really it feels the only purpose for stuff like streaming or labels or something else is just promotion. They're just a promotional tool, like social media. You should never rely on it for the entirety of your income or for everybody to actually find you, but it's good to use them in the way that they are. It seems like in the 90s and beforehand, you needed a label to get out. You needed a label to be found, you also needed a label to get better recordings. You don't necessarily need that now. You can make really good recordings now, but the promotion is still tough because the internet is infinite. An abyss. Way too fucking big to find one band. So all promotion helps, but I feel like it's really the time that a lot of artists can just take the music into their own hands and be able to sell it. So was anyone out in the city and saw what happened as a result of the lockouts, or celebrated Mardi Gras and basically had to shuffle into a club as soon as 1:30 was coming? And do you think that the drop in physical sales or digital sales are a reference to how dire the industry might be, or just that they're looking at the wrong figures for where people are? So they're looking over here, everyone's over there doing something else. And do you think that artists really need something like a label to help make their music and sell it? And do you think that musicians should more fight for streaming to pay more and record labels to pay more for sales? Or do you think they should just be used as a promotional tool while the artists make their music elsewhere? Let me know in the comments below or on our website, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, everywhere. Finally, the band of the week this week goes to Beaten Bodies. They're a hip-hop, jazz, soul-y kind of group. It's almost a big band kind of group. There's a lot of members in it. They are also doing a gig at the Oxford Art Factory this Thursday. So if you want to check out them playing with other hip-hop acts, then get down and see that. And for a small clip of their music, just wait until the end of the video where you will be able to hear it. And that's it for me. Make sure to subscribe, like, share the video, share our other stuff all across social media. Make sure that other people go into the Lyceum because I have checked and this is the most comprehensive online gig guide that there is for Sydney. I want people to be able to find bands easier, find gigs easier, and the way that I've done it is the best way that I can see. That being said, if you have any feedback for how it can improve, definitely tell us, because I always want to keep growing, keep making it better for artists, and keep making it better for the audience. Everything I've talked about in this video, all the bands, all the events, all of them are linked in the description below, so check that out. I'll see you next Monday with another update of launches and news and everything in between. Until then, be good.
Shoot my best like a bullet in me.